Look, I'm actually experienced personally in investing in Dubbo, and some of my greatest successes and failures have been from the Dubbo region. So that's going back over a decade now as well. It's definitely an area that has a lot of potential, and it has done for a longer period of time. But like these types of regionals, there are particular suburbs that we definitely need to stay away from. And there are higher, and I think the rule with Dubbo is focusing on that sort of 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 out of 10 areas. And there are, a pocket of 3 or 4 suburbs in Dubbo or areas that are very good and offering us a lot of resilience. Lower crime, lower socioeconomic, higher socioeconomic profiles, and tied in really well with those people that are driving the demand. The population growth is coming into the area for people with jobs, attracted to the new projects, etc. in the area. The population moving into Dubbo are not coming there without jobs. That's a simple fact of it. And they are wanting that good quality of housing. That's what we are focusing on. And definitely, I'm very familiar with the area personally, but we're definitely staying away from those higher risk equations. We don't need to get involved with them. Dubbo is an area that I've driven street by street on a number of occasions over the last 15 or so years. So when we come in and do this analysis, I'll talk through the investment thesis for Dubbo, if you like. Let me just come in here, New South Wales. Where are we, Dubbo? Okay, so 47 suburbs in Dubbo. Many of these are going to be very large geographic areas, with very few housing, sort of rural type suburbs. So very quickly, we reject quite a lot of these suburbs in these types of regional centres because of low density. There might be, only 3 or 4 houses on a very large segment of property, and then also 2 regional. And there are only, in the Dubbo market, 1 suburb that we are focusing on, and that is Dubbo itself. So all of the other suburbs and areas have been ruled out, and it is only Dubbo itself, which generally as a city, you've got Dubbo, but then you might have a few suburbs around the edges, and then you have all the other sort of outer lying, 500 house towns around a key regional hub. It is Dubbo itself that is firing. It is not the surrounding layers, and that's a really important point here to notice. So we have a reasonable yield, but a good yield at the 550 price point. You have here stable rental markets, but days of supply has just started to increasing. So this is an area that we would be very opportunistic in buying. It has been somewhere where we've had our eye on for the last few months, and we are now comfortable with it based on what properties are coming up and showing to us in the market right as of now. But it is a very high yield for the price point, stable rental market with good days of supply. So 61 days of supply is quite strong on a national level. It's not as heated as WA, it's not as heated as South Australia, it's not as heated as many regional centres in Queensland. This is a market that we would be expecting for the rental. So there has been a period of rental growth over the last 12 months, but we would expect the rental market to kick on again in the next 3 to 6 month period. And because we are beating the heat into this market somewhat, it's not as heated as WA, South Australia and Queensland. We're seeing a lot of these New South Wales regional markets starting to align now. We're able to come in here and pick the eyes out of this entire suburb and find the strongest acquisitions. And that's something that's really important for us to be able to do. We can't do that as effectively in parts of WA at the moment. We don't have the leverage as a professional outfit. We don't have access to the off markets because, any man and his dog is piling in there offering stupid amounts. Then we can't get in there and really negotiate the eyes out. Places like Dubbo, where the data is looking very strong, in the 92nd percentile across the country at the moment, that's when we can really come in here and acquire very high standard of assets. And that's really what needs to happen when we come into markets like Dubbo, because they're not as heated. They're not as heated as the Perth markets and the South Australian markets. Yeah, I guess probably to answer your direct concerns there around crime, and it's really about focusing in on the specific streets within the Dubbo area to mitigate those risks. Okay, so it is only one location that we would look at, and I do, my preferred way of operating is opening ourselves up to many different areas, and then understanding we can then be very opportunistic with the individual street locations within the Dubbo area. So we have a lot of crime and lower socio issues on this western front of the main road, the Peak Hill Road. Okay, so this is a lot of low socio-economic issues. And then this area here on the eastern side of this river, the Macquarie River, is the mid to higher socio pockets. Right, so we really focus our attention. We also have low socio once again up here in the north and potentially out here near the CBD into the, there's some pockets of reasonable property here, but we really want to focus our attention on this middle heart of the Dubbo area, and we get very fussy with the street level location. So overall, for us, the Dubbo idea is an area where the data is looking very strong, but we've got to be very fussy with the streets within the Dubbo area and make sure that the deals are strong enough to justify our attention.